Tesla's down in the pre-market. Electric reporting the EV maker plans to lay off more than 10% of its workforce.
Focus there is going to be automotive gross margins as well as the operating margin. Both have come down significantly over the last year.
We have to sort of speculate about, the extent to which this may be about, a difference of opinion on the direction of the company.
If you look from 2019 through 2022, the calendar years, it was increasing its hiring by over 40% just until last year when it only hired 30% more people.
And I think that we are going to return to growth because ultimately I believe electrification is just a more sensible way to move around and along with autonomy.
All that and more. So let's get to it. Tesla stock is down in the pre-market almost 2%. Sitting at 158.46. We are getting mighty close to 52-week lows, ladies and gentlemen. I got a 210 call that will expire worthless at the end of the week. A 170 put that is looking ever so scrumptious as the week continues. But unfortunately, my 155 call that expires in 2025, not looking so hot, but it would appear we've got time until 2025. I am quite interested to see how low TSLA can go within the next few months. Don't be surprised if there is a long call added to this list that expires sometime in 2026.
Tesla's down in the pre-market. Electric reporting the EV maker plans to lay off more than 10% of its workforce in wake of falling sales. The tech publication cited a company-wide memo from Elon Musk in which he's quoted as saying the cuts are necessary to prepare Tesla for the next phase of growth. Reuters later matched that headline. One of the lines from the email regarding layoffs from Musk says, "There's nothing I hate more, but needs to be done."
Well, if you look at the stock performance year to date, and it continues to fall, questions about EV demand, Tesla's been in the spotlight. We've seen price downgrades or target cuts every single day on this stock. We know they're dealing with something, and after the last delivery update, clearly he's making adjustments.
Saw my first Cybertruck yesterday. I don't know if you guys have seen one on the roads.
They're cool.
Yeah, they are cool.
You clearly do not follow Kim Kardashian on Instagram.
Barreling down. I don't have Instagram.
Neither do I.
Actually, I did finally get Instagram only because people keep sending me Instagram, so I gotta have somewhere to look at what they are. But
so pathetic.
I am pathetic. Thank you for that, though, for reminding me. Tesla shares are down again, as you see, down some 33% for the year. This following news, the company is going to be making some sizable job cuts. Phil LeBeau has that news for us. Phil.
David, these are significant cuts that Tesla is announcing. A memo sent out by Elon Musk to the staff outlining that the company will be cutting more than 10% of its global staff. They ended last year with about 140,000 employees worldwide, so approximately 14,000 workers will be let go. In the memo that was sent out from Elon Musk, he says, "There is nothing I hate more, but it must be done. This will enable us to be lean, innovative, and hungry for the next growth phase cycle." As you take a look at their annual deliveries, remember, the first quarter, that was the first time that we saw Tesla deliver a year-over-year decline in 3 years, and it was down 8.5%. Many believe that there is a possibility they will not hit last year's total of 1.81 million vehicles delivered. So as you take a look at shares of Tesla over the last 6 months, the next data point that people will be focused on happens on April 23rd. After the bell, that's when the company reports its Q1 results. And the focus there is going to be automotive gross margins as well as the operating margin. Both have come down significantly over the last year. And commentary from Elon Musk. Is this the first of many job cuts that we're going to see? Or is this a case where Elon's moving as quickly as possible to say, look, we have to downsize, we have to shore up as much as possible as we go through this period here where deliveries will be down, where there is just a tighter market overall for EVs, and where the pricing war shows no sign of ending, especially over in China, David?
Look, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. The next few quarters for TSLA are going to be pretty bad. Or maybe not what you've been expecting over the past few years from Tesla. Technology is improving at a rapid pace, not just in the EV sector. Automation when it comes for driverless vehicles, it's improving all over the place. There is no better time than to start trimming the fat inside your company as you adapt to these new applications of the technology that is being presented. Tesla is the only company that I've chosen to invest in for good reason. I believe it will be the most valuable company on the planet in a decade's time. That still has not changed. Along with investing in the company for the very long term, I'm also trading it in the medium to short term. Long calls that go out multiple years. And at the moment, I'm in the business of selling calls and placing protective puts to add to my position of long-term shares in Tesla. I fully expect this slide of TSLA to continue at least in the medium to short term, but I know it won't be forever. And when it does swing back in the other direction, yeah, it'll be quick and rather violent when it comes to volatility.
Let's start with Drew Baglino, one of only 4 named executive officers at Tesla. I thought this was a surprise, and what sources told me is that he resigned. He wasn't laid off as part of the 10% cut. What else do you know?
Yeah, I know less than you know, Ed, but I do have to sort of speculate about, the extent to which this may be about, a difference of opinion on the direction of the company. This news comes shortly after reports that the company is, maybe putting aside its work on a cheaper vehicle and focusing efforts on a robotaxi. I think Elon Musk, at first called that report by Reuters false, and then, seemed to sort of lend credence to it by scheduling an introduction of a robotaxi months from now, which, sort of suggests that, he's focused on that. And, that raises questions about whether Baglino thought that's the right move, whether Rohan Patel thinks that's the right move. After all, he's going to be the person or would have been the person in Washington who would have to sort of justify that to regulators. And whether or not Tesla is really ready to put that forward is a question after years and years of the company talking about having robotaxis, or at least Musk talking about having robotaxis.
Yes.
When they haven't.
Okay, first and foremost, farewell to Drew Baglino, Rohan Patel. Their contributions, along with the 10% that used to work there, have been invaluable, and every little bit counts. Drew, Rohan, along with that other 10%, they'll go on and work at other places and hopefully bring that Tesla ingenuity to those companies. No one individual is supposed to work at one company forever. As for the speculation about going in the wrong direction that these individuals might not like, the next generation platform will have the robotaxi on it for sure, but there will be other vehicles that stem off that platform. And trust, Rohan's political acumen will be missed, but it don't take all day to recognize sunshine. And once you give any individual the data that autonomy is X times safer than a human being, regulators won't need much convincing.
All of this is sort of trying to be a level of prioritization or anxiety that is among investors at the moment. Many would say, okay, cutting down on expenses, on costs, is something that is necessary in the context of EV sales more broadly, Craig. What could be, therefore, be really unnerving the investor base right now when you have SVPs leaving? Is it more the concern about the handing over of power, ultimately, any sort of fact that Musk currently leads and has done since 2008?
The handing over of power? It's not like Tesla has the greatest engineers to choose from. Handpicking the best engineers over half a decade to establish a moat across several different industries. I mean, come on now. When JB left, nobody knew Drew. Hell, nobody really knows Drew now, but they do know his title. Executives will come and go, but the mission will remain the same. And that will be the constant in this deep pool of talent that Tesla can draw from. Next person up, please.
Let's talk Tesla. I got Jenny Horn here with me in the studio. All right, Jenny, so layoffs at Tesla. Let's talk about it.
Per this internal memo we've gotten from Elon Musk, and according to Electric, was the first to report this, that they're laying off around 10% of their workforce. Now, there had been rumors it could be 20. So, I think that this is still fairly, we haven't actually gotten confirmation from the company, but 10% was better than feared. But that impacts around 15,000 employees of their 140,000 roughly workforce. Keep in mind, though, Tesla has been on a bit of a hiring spree.
What? I would have assumed that with all of this firing and execs leaving, Tesla was dwindling down to a skeletal crew, getting ready for bankruptcy. They've been hiring?
If you look from 2019 through 2022, the calendar years, it was increasing its hiring by over 40% just until last year when it only hired 30% more people. So you hear 10%, and I think it puts everything in context.
The trajectory's kind of been topping out for their workforce. It slowed down.
Yes, but also I think when you're growing this quickly, you can oftentimes have these redundancies and like less efficient operations. So that's what they said. This is to cut costs and become a more efficient automaker. Also important to keep in mind, though, layoffs are a routine part of a company.
No.
I feel like you can read this headline so wrong because I initially saw laying off 10% of their employees after dismal first quarter deliveries. Well, it's like I don't think that necessarily speaks to the health of the company because 2017 they laid off 2% of their workforce, 2018 9%, 2019 7%, and then 2022 10%. So this just falls in line with some of the reductions we've seen again because they are on such a nice pace of hiring.
But on the upper end too of the sizing of layoffs that they've had.
Yes, so I guess that is the argument that this is the most significant, and their workforce is the biggest it's ever been. So of course that 10% impacts, 15,000 employees is no small number.
Tesla planning to lay off more than 10% of its global workforce. Also, two key executives, one named Drew Baglino and Rohan Patel, have announced they are leaving the company. These are senior level executives. Now, Musk appeared to address the shakeup in a post on X, saying, quote, about every 5 years, we need to reorganize and streamline the company for the next phase of growth. Tesla shares fell just over 5% today, closing at their lowest level in nearly a year. Has Tesla lost some of its magic, or is the shakeup a sign of growth to come? With us tonight is Tesla investor and Deepwater Asset managing partner, Gene Munster. Gene, you think this actually foretells growth, but we're talking about people leaving, being laid off. Try to square those two things.
Are people not supposed to get laid off? What are we talking about here?
Well, Brian, I think what's going on in the next, call it 2 to 4 quarters is going to be a decline in the business. Maybe start with there. I think that this is a reaction in part to the EV demand that has absolutely hit the wall. Just look at Google Trends, type in your favorite EV and look at how the amount of interest has declined. I think ultimately deliveries in 2024 for Tesla are going to be down 3%. The street's right now at plus 5%. That's come down since over the last few weeks. It's still too high. So I do think we are in a period here before what I believe will be in this period. This is the classic Gardner hype cycle. We're right now in the trough of disillusionment.
Ooh, that's a gem there. Good one, Gene. I like that. 2 to 4 quarters of disappointment is possible. I just don't see it. This first quarter is going to be a reiteration of those poor delivery numbers. Next quarter, not going to be very good. And the third quarter, I would also agree, might be blah. But there are a few catalysts that could occur within that time frame that could send the stock soaring right back up. Mainly the robo-taxi unveil on August 8th. That could be the catalyst that allows Tesla to unlock that deferred revenue that they've been holding on to for the FSD take rate. Once Tesla irons out the manufacturing process of this next generation platform and then spread it across their factories, current and prospective, it won't take them long to exceed those volumes that they should have been at in this first quarter. As for the demand of these vehicles, well, let's be serious. If the consumer can pay the monthly bill, they will purchase these vehicles. Despite all of the macroeconomic pressures, the Model Y was the best-selling vehicle in 2023. We've reached a point in the TAM where some of these individuals just can't make that decision, even though they would want to so badly. As they say, the night is darkest right before the dawn.
And I think that we are going to return to growth because ultimately I believe electrification is just a more sensible way to move around and along with autonomy. And so I still believe that Tesla's a growth story, but not for the next year.
Okay, but how do you feel about $99 full self-driving?
I think that eventually if you're somebody who's born today, is probably never going to drive a car.
Ding, 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 ding. Tell him what he's won, Johnny. Your mother right. Oh, what a wonderful world it will be that 16 years from now, your infant child will never have to experience the catastrophe which is human driving. Sure, people will still drive at like racetracks and things of that nature, much like people still go horseback riding. But 16 years from now, this will not be a rite of passage for teenagers.
I think that if you look at the value on this, there's a piece where you can look at what the adoption is. If they get 20% adoption, I think that that can double their operating income by 2028. And so I think that it's not for everybody, but if 20% ultimately decide to do that, and separately, eventually all car companies, just for safety reasons, are going to have to get some form of autonomy. And it's unlikely, given what the investment cycle has been with these car companies, that they're going to be able to do it on their own. I suspect over time, Tesla will license some of that. Elon said he's open to that.
In conclusion, Tesla's cutting about 10% of their workforce. In addition to that, Drew Baglino, Rohan Patel are also taking their leave. All of these individuals, I'm sure, will do just fine in their next endeavors. I appreciate everything they've done to get Tesla to this point in time right now. But Elon's in wartime CEO mode. That typically means things are about to get a lot worse before they get better. When will they get better? Who the knows? But as long as this negative sentiment is overlaying Tesla, I will be selling calls and placing protective puts in order to get more money in my coffers. To do what? To purchase more TSLA stock. I will be taking full advantage of this buying opportunity. That's all I got for you today. Be easy. Peace.